Sorry about that. Hi, Moa. Hi, Grace. So a lot of my E's actually came from the pet store. I've had them for several years. Um, some of them I acquired through adoption. Yeah, I guess I had like a little internet glitch. All of a sudden, my screen just froze. And I texted Mary, and she said that you guys lost me. So let's see if I missed any questions. Thank you, Stacy, for taking over for me. Let's see. Let's see. I know we lost a lot of people, but I know it's also 11 o'clock, so people are probably going over to this stage. So anyways, the last I was talking was that the E's do love the light. Samantha had mentioned that hers love the light. Mine do love the light. I use UVB and UVA, and they do also go over to the window. Let's see. And none of my E's do really switch shells. I do not use cracked shells. Somebody mentioned that. I take any cracked shells out of my tank, and I'll actually smash them up and use them for calcium. Let's see here. Let me get back down to the bottom because it looks like all those questions have been answered. I just want to make sure that nobody's questions get skipped over. No, Grace, I do not have a section cut through on my glass. I don't know. I use the HO, the high output, and it does go through. I have I had bought some lights before that came with these little UV sensor cards, and my lights go through. I don't know. Really weird. Hi, Lauren. Welcome back. Did you have problems too? Yes, I use high output. The bulbs are a little bit more expensive, but and actually what I have found is it's kind of cheaper to buy the whole unit again than to buy just the bulbs. And then what I do is I just donate the old unit. Sometimes it's cheaper to buy two bulbs, but you got to replace the bulbs anyway every 6 months. So I agree, Courtney. If it works better, it's worth it. I like to make my crabs happy. I try to replicate their natural environment as much as possible. I even have a moon. I'll show you my moon. I don't know if you guys can see it up there. So it turns on at dusk, and it actually illuminates the whole room. It's pretty neat. I got my moon off of Amazon, and it's actually made to go inside of a tank, but I would not put that inside of a tank. I used command strips and command stripped it to my ceiling. I bought it probably 6 years ago, and the light has still continued to work. Lauren, you never want to dig up a crab. I see that you say, I hope he's okay. I'm worried he's dead. I don't want to disturb the substrate. Never disturb a substrate. Never dig up a crab. You just want to kind of hope for the best and be patient. Yes, command strips, the hermit crab parent's best friend. So as far as command strips, I personally love the Velcro ones. I use them for the 16 pounds because I feel like those are the safest. Exactly, Moa. If he's passed, there's nothing you can do anyway. Okay, so just a quick recap, because I know that we've had a few people that have joined us that weren't here before. As far as Ecuadorians, I feel like they need a little bit more extra care than purple pinchers. Yes, Courtney, it is the Exoterra full moon lamp. That is correct. I believe that purple pinchers need a minimum of 10 to 12 inches of substrate, and that's a minimum. I also believe that they need at least 20 gallons per crab, and that they should at least have a species buddy. Minimum tank size, 40 gallons. And that's because Ecuadorians are really active, guys. They love to dig. They love to climb. If you can put a topper on your tank, do it. Get them a wheel. Get them mirrors. Change around your tank as often as you can. Just don't disturb anything on the substrate. Ecuadorians, they need more protein, more calcium choices than your average crab. Yes, Beth, they get into shenanigans. They are some crazy crabs. They wreak havoc. I mean, all crabs wreak havoc, but the E's are extra active. So keeping them busy, is definitely your best bet. Yeah, Lauren, a 75-gallon is perfect for E's. And, even if you put a topper on that, all crabs love to climb. I mean, they're known as tree crabs. Down here in Florida, you can see them up in the trees. If you can put a topper on, that's great. If you can't, still put some branches in your tank. Let them climb. That's awesome. Do what you can. I'm sure you guys are all doing what you can. And you guys are all great crab parents. Let's see. Temperature. I personally believe that Ecuadorian crabs love the higher temperatures. The highest I let my tanks get are 85, and the lowest that I let my tanks get are 79. The 79 is at night, and that's even through the winter. I live here in Florida, and believe it or not, we do actually get maybe 1 month that's cold. But even then, I put the Reflectix on my tanks, I put more heaters on my tanks, and I still keep those higher temperatures. It's necessary. These Ecuadorian crabs are, they're from the West Coast, they're from Mexico, they need those warmer temperatures. Beth, I'm not that far south. So no, I don't go sit out in the wild and watch the crabs. I wish I was that far south. Actually, I'm not really sure I could handle the heat down there. I mean, up here, I'm in DeBerry, and the other day our heat index was 105, and that was a little warm for me. But I would love to live down south, like near the Keys where, the wild crabs are, but I also don't think I could handle watching people, accidentally hurt them too. Let's see. I think I went over that. Um, well, yeah, because Fort Lauderdale, Miami. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, I've been down there too, but that's still the city. Gosh, you know, sad to think about them being in city limits, and there's not too many wild areas there. But I think I would be sad to see hermit crabs in that area. I mean, we have a lot of wildlife in our area where I live, and it's sad to see all of the construction going on here. But I love watching my crabs. But anyways, that's about it on my recommendations. They do. Oh, one more thing. It's very imperative that you keep their water clean, but especially the marine salt water. Ecuadorians absolutely love marine salt water. They're always in it. Um, Almost as much as the straw would be in their marine salt water. You have purple pinchers right now, Lauren. So I do house my Ecuadorians with purple pinchers, and I have no issues. A lot of people will say that they're cannibalistic. I personally do not believe that. I've not had an issue with cannibalism, but that's where I think it's really imperative to feed them more protein, feed them more calcium, you know. And when I say, um, yeah, when I say, more calcium, I mean a variety. So I have found with my Ecuadorians, um, they love the fishy stuff. So, if you don't have access to that, go to your local seafood department. You know, get the sustainable fish stuff. Don't get things that are from fish farms. You want to get the stuff that is from the wild, okay? And you are going to want to just get like one or two different pieces of fish and then just dehydrate it. And then after you dehydrate it, just throw it in a grinder. You know, your ease will love you for it. So um, basically, that's what I find that my ease prefer. Um, of course, I do offer the chickens, the fish, the turkeys. Courtney, as far as dehydrating, so they do have a machine called a dehydrator. You can purchase that off of Amazon. You can purchase that from Walmart. Um, or if you don't want to do that, you can use your oven. Um, with the oven, you basically would crack the door open, throw it on a baking sheet, and I want to say you do like 225. It'll take a lot longer that way, and your house will stink. So I personally prefer the dehydrator, and that is how I dehydrate all my fish. Give me a second, and my closet's right here. I can show you what something will look like dehydrated. So like this is smelt. This is the fish, and it's been deheaded, and but smelt. They love it. I mean, they just go crazy over that. And you don't necessarily have to dehead it. I just find sometimes things dehydrate a lot quicker if I do. And then I'll do the head separately. Of course, Courtney. And also, if you guys um, have any additional questions or if you ever need help, I do have a store that is not currently open, but you can always message me through it. And it's thehealthyhermit.com. And that's through Etsy, but you can reach me at thehealthyhermit.com and that'll direct you to my store. Message me. I am happy to help you with any questions um, regarding ease, purple pinchers, anything. Um, I just love being a part of the crabbing community and helping anybody. Beth, Yeah, you're so right. Dumping sand in there. So I'm not sure. I think you can see it mainly this way. So occasionally I'll come in and I'll just throw a real thin layer of sand. And then sometimes I'll come in and I don't have any on this side right now, but I'll throw a quick layer of um, cocoa fiber in. Those types of things are enrichment. It's a different type of substrate for them to feel, and because it's not a mixture. But you want to be careful how much you put in there. Let's see. Abby, yes, I do. I have 4 straws. They're on that side. I have 3 tanks. Oh, Beth, you mean Jasper loves to dump sand? Yeah, well, that's because they're digging and they get sand in their shell. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. So these guys used to dig holes and they would reuse their holes over and over and over. Now they stopped. Now this tank over here, which is full of just purple pinchers, they do. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes that they reuse over and over. And it's like they're quick access holes that they just constantly reuse. So, Addie, I have 4 straws, 1 ruggie, 8 to 10 E's. I want to say probably, I don't know how many purple pinchers, and a ruggie. Althea, what do you mean? Okay, you're back. Maybe okay, I'm back on. Oh, hi, Dan. Yeah, I miss my shop too. I just haven't had time for it. But luckily, we have other shops to go to. Yes, Ashley, because just because a crab digs a hole and has been under for months and that hole gets covered, that doesn't mean that that crab is still in that hole. Um, that hole can be leading somewhere else in the tank. The ruggie doesn't tend to be bothered by not having a species buddy because that ruggie has been by itself for a long time. I acquired that ruggie through an adoption. It was accidentally brought back over um, because somebody thought they were just bringing a shell home. I should actually move it in with my eaves. Beth, I've had my straws for years, and the ruggie I acquired about 3 years ago, I think. Sure. Um, Lauren wants to see my other setups, so I will slide this around. So this one right here holds my straws, my ruggie, and my brevy. And my brevie's back over here. He's kind of really big back in the back. And my straws usually stay down until the night, but I usually have one that's up. Oh, yeah, it's over in the corner. And then my other tank. Oh, goodness, you're seeing my closet full of dog clothes. My other tank is right there. And this has just purple pinchers in it. Yeah, my brevy doesn't have a species buddy either. Althea, straws, I kind of treat, well, first of all, they also need fresh marine salt water at all times. I give them a lot of fish. Um, I also give them the higher temperatures. Let's see. Moa, that's not really true. Hermit crabs don't always fill the hole behind them. Stevie, maybe one day you'll have all these tanks. Thank you, Moa. Hi, Mike. So these long pieces of cholla are thanks to Mike. I'm fortunate enough to have met Mike and his wonderful wife, Missy. And my brevy came from Mike. How did I connect the wheel to the topper with the humidity? So Lauren wants to know how I connected the wheel to the topper with the humidity. I don't ever have this problem, but a lot of people do mention that they have problems with humidity and connecting things in their toppers or actually in their tanks. So basically what I do is I do use command strips, but I use a paper towel. I dry the area. I stick the command strip and I hold the command strip for about 10 seconds. And then I'll leave the command strip on there for about 5 minutes without placing anything on it. Then I'll place what I need to place on there. So I think, giving it a good amount of time to sit there without having anything hang from it. And I use the Velcro command strips that hold 16 pounds. I don't use the sticky stick regular command strips. I use command strips, but the Velcro picture hanging ones. Dan, I'm fortunate not to have any strife in my tanks. But I would agree, having lots of hiding areas, which if you look in my tank, I have a lot of coconut hides. I have a lot of different hides down below. I don't know if you can see that or not. And having separate feeding areas are definitely key to having multiple crabs in your tank. Yeah, Mike has family that has access to that cholla, and that is special. Can you see the wheel again? Oh, just to see how it's hung. Sure. See, this will show you how strong it is. Let's see, I got a crab hanging there. I don't know if you can see. Can you see that? Am I worried about the rust? No, I'm not. Because there's not been any issues with, number one, my crabs eating it, and I know that there's other crabbers that have, rust in their tank as well. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Lila. That does make sense about how when they dig, they are backfilling the hole. So yeah, that does make sense. Yes, if anybody has not ever seen Dan's tank with Cenobita Curiosities, you must go look at Dan's tanks because he uses egg crate and then he uses zip ties and attaches his wheels that way. I personally like to move my tanks around a lot, but I don't move the wheels. Yeah, Mike, thank you. But I went with like the largest wheels that I think my tanks could handle so that I didn't have to go bigger. And I tried to make the, um, goodness gracious, I'm forgetting the word for it. Um, the mesh, the craft mesh, go out as far as possible so that I didn't have to redo it. The downside is it, you know, it gets dirty and I just rinse it out. Dan has some wonderfully themed tanks and they are incredible. He and his wife are so creative. I love it. I know he has his tanks posted on the Hermit Crab Association, Althea. Beth, Mike does have he does have wheels in his tanks. Are there any other questions? You're welcome, Jeff. So no, the back of Mike's tanks are cholla, and then he has a wheel, and I think his wheel has cholla in it for them to walk on. Have I ever had an Ecuadorian or a crab escape? No, because I have glass lids, so they can't get out. Yes, Beth, you're right. You should have known. Mike's tanks contain a lot of cholla. So as far as ease, when I was talking about providing a lot of variety for the calcium, certain things that I recommend for calcium, let me just close this out. Oyster shell, shrimp shell, just a second, Jeannie. Eggshell, cuttlebone, marrow bones, crab carapace, calcium carbonate. All of those types of things are wonderful things that you can always leave in the tank at all times. And just having those laying around in different parts of the tank for them to munch on at their discretion is a wonderful way for them to be able to get their calcium when they want it. And Jean, you asked me if I've ever had the ease berry seeds and then eat the sprouts. So I have found that they just like the seeds. They don't tend to eat the sprouts. Oh, that's funny, Althea. She's saying how she had a crab escape and crawled up a guest campsite. You're welcome, Jeannie. Yes, Beth, mine eat the seeds before they can sprout too. Sometimes I'll find seeds in my water that begin to sprout. Yep, Samantha, that's great. What I do with my fish is, you know, I dehydrate all that kind of stuff and then I grind it so that it's all in the food. So Lily mentions that she has crabs that seem to munch on plastic plants. So I'm going to slide my computer over. My Brevi likes to do that. Oh my Lord, let me close this closet door. So my Brevi likes to do that. So one way that I try to counteract that is I took some oak branches and I zip tied them to the branch here that I have. So a lot of times the reason why crabs will do that is because they need more leaves in their diet. And here's my brevy for anybody that has never seen a brevy before. He's huge. I don't want to finish this. Samantha's asking if I think that they like fish better than beef or chicken. Yes, I do. I believe that the E's prefer the fish diet over the beef and the chicken. I do feed beef and chicken, but I feel like they eat more when I have fish in there. Now, to be honest, what I do, I'll show you a little example. Give me 1 second here. I have to save time when I make my foods. So I put out these containers when I'm making food. And what I'll do is I'll pull out all my proteins. And I'll make sure that I have 3 to 4 proteins in each of my containers. And then I'll go through and I'll put 2 to 3 vegetables in each of my things. And then I'll put fruits. And each of my foods has more than 1 protein. And this is my time saver. So that when I'm feeding my crabs, I know that they have multiple proteins to choose from. Lily, do you have a variety of leaf litter in there? Because Lily's mentioning that she has plenty of leaf litter, but apparently the plastic tastes better. Because there's definitely different types of leaves that you can offer. So I would make sure that you offer several different types of leaves, because perhaps what you're offering isn't something that they prefer. Or also maybe they're bored. I agree, Beth. It is interesting how they fold themselves in when they're scared. Funny, Beth, do they get soup and salad too? You're welcome, Samantha. I have to do that because I have a lot of animals to take care of. So once a month, I just make all my hermit crab food for my tanks. And that's just been a time saver for me. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of those containers. And this way I know their basic diet is met, and it's 10 different diets, and then I can throw in extra stuff as I want to. Oh, I totally agree with Dan. That burning bush is a crab favorite of mine. Unfortunately, we don't have that down here in Florida. So my mom and my sister sent that to me. But, you have burning bush, you have maple, oak, capata. So burning bush is usually up north, and it's green, and then it turns red. And then also, Althea, there's other types of dandelion, raspberry. Yes, Moa's mentioned. There's also, look on the Lycos approved food list and the Hermit Crab Association's approved food list, and you'll find a bunch of approved leaf litter on there as well that is safe to feed your crabs, and just giving that variety, and also providing enrichment. Oh, Althea, you'll definitely have the burning bush up there. Okay. Are there any other questions? Oh, you're welcome, Beth. You're welcome, Samantha. I'm happy to stay on here as long as I need to. Definitely, Dan. Definitely, Samantha. And if anybody ever has any questions, like I mentioned before, you can always contact me via my store, The Healthy Hermit. I'm not in business right now because I got a lot on my plate, but you can always contact me there. I'm happy to help you with any questions you might have. You can just message me. Abby, you can never know too much information. And remember, a lot of people don't really know the difference between crabs. I come across it all the time, especially in the pet stores. Mo, I think you can sign up for email notification if I ever do open up. Or actually, I think I do keep it open. You're welcome, Laura. Oh, I bet you do, Dan. I do too. I have a ton of isopods. I bet, Samantha. I'm not sure, Jean. I don't know if my E's are more thinkers, um, if they figure out how to do something and then they act. Um, hmm. I can't say I've ever really paid attention to that. Stevie, I've had many attempts on them breeding, but unfortunately, I've not been successful. Your E's are dopey, Dan? That's funny. Mine, mine do sleep a lot. I will say they're definitely more active during later in the day and at night. Stevie, yours plot. That's funny. Lauren, if you ever want isopods, I can hook you up. But I will tell you that they can overtake your tank very easily. That's funny. How to harass your large purple pincher. Yeah, years ago I thought, oh, I'm gonna get a few isopods, and that was when I had pet sand at one point, and I was like, oh, it'll help clean up the poop and all this and that, and oh my word, next thing you know, I had just tankfuls of isopods. Like Samantha said, they will overpopulate, and they will eat your crab food, not poop, food. FOOD. And yeah. Uh, Kim said she wants to add a topper, but she's yet to find a good fit. Kim, message me and I'll help you find one. Yeah, you're so right, Samantha. The isopods will eat the crabby foods before the crabs can get to it. If I had to do it all over again, I would not do isopods. Um, Or if I did do isopods, I would probably do special species that do not populate so fast. Yeah, Samantha, you're right. I think the dairy cows are cool, but I would probably keep them in a tank of their own. Yes, Beth, they are worse than rabbits. Yeah, I went with the powder blues because they were like, oh, they're so active. And oh boy, are they active. I think I bought 50 and then I spread them through two of my tanks. And then next thing you know, I have thousands. I couldn't give them away fast enough. I was just having people pay for shipping. And I was providing everything else, like the containers, the moss, all that kind of stuff. And I mean, just explosion. But I did get some powder oranges from Evie, and I have enjoyed looking at those. Those are beautiful, and those don't seem to populate as fast. So I'd probably recommend going with something like that because they're pretty to look at. There's lots of pretty species, Beth, but I, I don't know. Yes, Dan, you're right. they, they're like the little goat that eats everything. I will say I don't see poop anymore except for in my earthworm castings. Yeah, Lauren, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Like I said, if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Definitely not. I mean, they're fun to watch and they're cute, but not in my crab tanks. Definitely not. Moa agrees. They're entertaining when you have pet sand, but yeah. The downside with getting them from nature and then bringing them in is you have to transition them. So you have to wait several months to make sure that you're working all the pesticides out and all of that. So it's great to get them from, a breeder or a business, but wouldn't do it again. I actually started selling mine to pet stores locally, and yeah, I can't give them away fast enough. And they just breed like crazy, especially if you have cholla in your tank. They love cholla. Kathleen asks, do crabs really eat them? She hasn't seen it. So when I first got them, I did see my crabs eat them. My crabs were actually hunting them, and it was actually really cool to see. Now I think they're pests to the crabs, and the crabs hate them. I really think that. But that was years ago. Now I think they're like, oh my gosh, will these guys go away? I mean, there have been times that I kid you not, I have taken a shop vac to my tanks to get them out of my tanks because there's just so many. I take my cholla, I take my cork bark, I take it out. I think Mike's been to my house a couple of times where I've had 55-gallon tanks out, or 55-gallon, not tanks, 55-gallon totes out, just full of isopods. Yes, a shop vac, because they're so fast. You can't catch them. And the shop vac doesn't kill them. It's just a smaller shop vac. And I'll suck them up and then just dump them into the tote. You saw Mary's babies chase them? Oh, that's cute. That's definitely cute. All right. Let's see. Yeah, you shouldn't release isopods back into the wild because you never know. what you're introducing into nature. I don't have tanks in my, or excuse me, water tanks in my tanks. I use Tupperware bowls. I just don't have the time for that yet. But yeah, those would be great at cleaning out tanks. Kathleen, they're not necessarily invasive depending on what kind of isopods you're releasing. It's more like if you were to take something out of the wild and put them back into the wild, you don't know if you're releasing any disease or anything like that that could destroy the species that are out there. No, I don't have a problem with isopods drowning in my pools because I put things into my pools that they can climb out of. So I have craft mesh that goes like a ladder into my pools, like a little bridge, so they can climb out if they fall in. I like the powder orange. I only have some powdered orange in this tank behind me. But I think I only got like 20 from Evie, and I don't know how many I have of those, but um, they definitely have not overpopulated like the powdered blues or the shinies. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any more questions? So just to recap before, sounds great, Kim. I look forward to that. So just to recap before I sign off, I do believe that, do my E's have names? Stevie, I don't handle any of my crabs. I don't name any of my crabs. So no. So just to recap, I believe that E's do need a minimum of 10 to 12 inches. This is obviously a lot more than that of substrate. They're diggers, they're climbers. I believe that they need higher temperatures. I keep my tanks at a high of 85 during the day. Yeah, Eddie was a sweet one, Dan. Low of 79 at night, and that's even through the winter. I believe that they need more protein choices daily. I do change my food daily. I do that so that they don't get bored. I also believe that they need more calcium choices at all times. Let's see. I believe that they need a minimum of 20 gallons per crab. They should have a species buddy if you're able to give them a species buddy. If not, that's understandable. There aren't a lot of E's that are available. Let's see. Humidity. I do keep my humidity on the high side. My humidity currently is 83. Sometimes it's up in the 90s. That to me is very important. I do provide UVB and UVA for my crabs at all times. Lots of enrichment activities for my crabs. Wheels are very important. My crabs love the mirrors. They love to stay active, so I do change my tanks around a lot. Ladders, I change cholla, cork bark, um, those types of things. Do not overcrowd these. They do not like it. Stevie, no, I don't make faces at my crabs. But that made me laugh. Thank you. Because I pictured you doing that. My E's do tend to like more of the fishy stuff. I do have, a couple of my containers that are mainly land animals, and they don't tend to care for those. They do love um, all of the things that I provide, the flowers, the leaves, those types of things also. And like I mentioned before, if you have any questions, uh, feel free to message me on my Etsy store, which you can reach www.thehealthyhermit.com. I'm happy to help you any time of the year, any time of the day. I will get that message from you. And I've enjoyed all of your companies. And I'll help you with any question you have. Any other questions before I sign off? I guess not. Does anybody want to see any? I typically don't handle my crabs, but I do know there's one up there. You're welcome, Dan. You're welcome, Beth. I hope you guys do enjoy the rest of CrabCon. I don't know what sex this one is. See if it comes out. This one actually fits in its shell quite well. It doesn't know it's the star of the program here. Yes, so E's do range in a typical of colors. Typically, they are this orangey reddish. Sometimes the younger ones can be a bluish greenish color. Yes, definitely camera shy. Actually, they're very shy crabs. Typically, they go into hiding whenever they come around, and mine aren't used to being held. Here he comes. And they're very fast. Don't want it to take a tumble. Let's see if I can just. Mine probably would pinch too. Yeah, it's trying to pinch me. Cute though, right? They're my favorite. That's one of my smaller ones. One of my necklace, I actually have earrings to match it. I got these off of eBay too. So my larger one, that's actually not my largest one. My larger one is bigger than this. That's a small E. That's a very small E. That's probably my smallest E. My largest E that I have is about that big. And I've had that one since I started crabbing, the largest one, and I believe that one's down molting. And it's part of my couple that always breeds. They are the cutest couple because they stick together all the time. And yes, Stevie, it does say that they get to golf ball size. And when they say golf ball size, I think that they say that's the crab size, not including the shell. but I think they get a little bit bigger than that. Moa, I got my ring and my necklace and my earrings off of eBay, and they were all bought from an estate sale. Samantha, it's hard to say. Um, I don't, I don't know. I think that they say golf ball size because, like, that's what people relate them to. Um, and I would say golf ball size because when they tuck up in their shell, it's like a golf ball size. But I would say a little bit bigger than that. You're welcome, Moa. Jean, you say, where can I get ease? You live in Colorado. Who can I trust to adopt or buy them from? You really can't buy ease. I don't even see them for sale anymore. Um, Nowadays, you have to adopt. So, what I was telling people earlier is the Hermit Crab Association has an adopters list. Get on that list. Get on the Lycos list. Check Craigslist regularly. Um, Canada, I guess, has Kijiji. I had never heard of that, but that's what I heard from a Canadian crabber. Check there. You know, Hoobly, maybe check Hoobly. That's another online place down here. But I think adoption is pretty much your only option right now. And constantly check the pet stores if you really want an E, because a lot of people in the pet stores don't really know what they're selling. Um, and I hate to say, check the pet stores and to buy from pet stores, but I think that's why we have a small amount of ease in the crabbing industry, because I think a lot of them came to the crabbing or came to the pet stores and they just didn't survive because they were given these pellet foods and they weren't in high humidity, they weren't in high temperatures, and they were cannibalizing each other. Beth said she got hers from a mom and pop store. Jean said, why are they not selling these anymore? I think they are, Jean. I just don't think that there are a lot locally here in the United States. Stevie said One Petco near them had them a few years ago. They had them near me a few years ago too. Actually, not a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago. And like Samantha says, they're rare. And due to the lack of care they get, they die fast. Ease stress out. They do not take to overcrowding very well. They just require a lot more care than purple pinchers. So you have the cannibalism. Look at what the crabs go through to get to us. Look at how purple pinchers handle it. You have a lot of purple pinchers that are dying due to PPS, post-purchase syndrome. Ease are doing that too. So, I think that that's why we don't have as many E's. Mary, are you telling me I have to go? Yeah, Samantha, they don't handle stress. I think a lot of times they do just die. I have only received one E through adoption. And that one, I reached out to them. They had an E and several purple pinchers. And I said, look, please let me take your E, and I paid for them to overnight it to me. But like I said, a lot of the pet stores don't, unless they're like a mom and pop, they don't know the difference. I actually spoke to the previous owner of somebody, I can't remember his name, but he used to import the crabs. And I spoke to him, and he thought I was calling to ream him. But I spoke to him and asked him, you know, if he had any ease in his, you know, in his care, because I wanted to take them. And he said no, he sold the business, but he also did tell me that he did know the difference between the Ecuadorians and the purple pinchers, and he did say that they just didn't make it as well as the purple pinchers did. I'm trying to think of the name of his business, but it was down by Mike, I want to say. I know. And would you believe the down in Florida, Jeannie? I'm sorry. I want to say the painted shells sell for more, and that's just so ridiculous. You're welcome, Jean. I wish I could remember the name, but it was the first company that started selling hermit crabs to the pet industries. But my E, the big male E, so his name was Superman because he came in a Superman shell. And I still have his shell. If I remember, can I post it? If I remember the name of the gentleman or the name of the company. The company, okay. I want to say that the company's still in business. Who makes the company's still in business because he sold it. Who makes the fruit salad that, what's it called? I'll have to look it up. I'm sorry, Jean. I have lupus, so sometimes my mind goes blank. But I'll find it. Let's see. Also, of course, Jean. Also, I think I did mention also with the eaves, you should provide a lot of hides for them because they are very shy crabs. So the other funny thing about eaves, if you don't have any, is that they go backwards. If they're scared, you know, purple pinchers, they'll do like a little U-turn and they'll go the other way. Eaves, they'll go backwards, and sometimes they'll even like flip backwards to get away from you. These are just so entertaining. I love them. Of course, I love all crabs. But... yes, Dan says he's run 5 ways at once. That is so true. They're hilarious. Yes, think of a cartoon fast forward. They just crack me up. Wow, that's crazy, Jean. Jean has a story in chat where an E got stuck in her shell. You know, was that a painted shell, Jean? Wow, that's crazy. Jean, I don't know if you caught earlier, the reason why that they do love their shells is because they spend time modifying it. They take the inside of their shells out. So I personally wouldn't have done that. Maybe you thought, you know, a lot of people do have this happen. If it's a painted shell, sometimes they can get stuck into it, you know, via glue, but ease modify the inside of their shell. So let's see. You can see how there's nothing on the inside of that. There's nothing right in there. I mean, the inside of that shell is just gone. This is a modified shell. Here's another modified shell. There's just nothing. You have the outside ridge there and just absolutely nothing on the inside. And wait till you see this one. So this is a turbo. Look at this modified shell. Absolutely nothing. Just gone. Yes, this is a turbo. See? It's a turbo. It kind of looks like a magpie, but it's not. It's a turbo. And then the last one that I have. See, absolutely nothing. Just a little ridge there. Jean, all mine are in turbos, except one of my males is in the king crown, like this. Yep. The last one is what she was in. Yeah, so I'm just trying to get the crab out of the stuff. Yeah. Yeah, so no, none of mine like the African land snail shells. I have offered those. So I'm fortunate enough to live in Florida. I'm by the beach. I'm actually like 30 minutes away. I have a lot of access to beautiful shells. I'm able to get really, really large moon snails, whale eye shells, large turbo shells. I mean, you would just die if you saw how large some of my turbos are. So yeah, they love light shells, but they don't like the African land snail shells. I showed earlier some of the shells that they do love. They love these. Yeah, mine don't like murex shells. These. And then, like I said, any kind of turbo, but especially the light ones. This is a favorite. The pearl ones. Jean, I'm not sure what an African Smarticus shell is. Yes, my E's do wiggle their shells. Yeah, I don't know if mine. I don't know what a common whelk is. A leopard shell is that these? Let me see if I can look it up on my phone real quick as to what a leopard shell is. Oh, no. That doesn't have enough of the space. Let me try the common whelk. If it's the same one here. Oh, a Commonwealth? Yeah, mine would be in that. I could see mine being in that. The Murex shells are a little heavy for my eaves. My eaves are pretty picky. The fox shell, the tulip shells, yeah, mine like those when they're smaller. When they were smaller, they went in those, but now that they're larger, they don't like them. They don't like the long tips. If I cut the tips off, they probably would use them, but I don't think they like the the long the longer parts on them. Yeah, they really go for the light shells for sure. I agree. There are so many shells. And again, this is just what I have seen my eaves use. And this is all my experience with my eaves. And when I first this came both of these, all three of these were all of these were how small my eaves were when I got them. I've found also, my eaves do molt quite frequently to try to, stay with the others, just kind of like purple finchers. They try to be pretty consistent. Try to find the ones. Jean, which ones? Shell wise, as far as shells, if I'm sorry, I don't. Let me see if I have it on my phone. Evie, I gave Evie a list of the shells that. Yeah, I don't have her last name on my phone. But Evie is here in Florida, and I know she was also working on homing some of Mary's crabs. She sells shells in her shops, and thank you, Beth. Evie has shells for sale, so you might be able to purchase them through her. I get a lot of my shells that I can't find on the beach shops. Um, that's okay, Beth. Um, from why can I not think of it now? Etsy. Um, I'll have to think of it. Richards. That's what it is. And if you do purchase from Richards, you need to let them know that you're purchasing 4 hermit crabs so that they make sure that there's no holes or cracks. Yeah, Richards does have some nice shells. However, they do market some shells for hermit crabs that hermit crabs don't really use. So just be careful with that. Refer to Lycos and the Hermit Crab Association as far as what shells really are used by hermit crabs. Exactly, Beth. You have to know what to order. Because Richards does have like a hermit crab shell section, but that doesn't necessarily mean that all of them are really used by hermit crabs. Because they'll market some of their larger shells um, and some of their turbos as being used by hermit crabs, but they're really not. They do have some fancy shells used for decor. And also, as far as decor too, you want to be careful because some things that are used for decor can be bleached, starfish that are absolutely perfect. If you notice that all legs are perfect, usually there's been a preservative, because starfish don't just lay naturally like that. If they're just dried out in the sun naturally, their legs aren't going to lay perfect. So you want to be careful. Yes, Beth, they have varnish. That's like a preservative. So you want to be careful as to what you put in your hermit crab tank, because those kind of things can be deadly, to your crab tank. Yeah, Dan has a phenomenal list of shops that are wonderful to order from. But just remember, you got to be careful what you put in your tank, because whatever you do, oh yeah, Ken too, whatever you do put in your tank, you have to keep in mind that it might be something that your crab's going to munch on and try to taste. So you don't want to put any chemicals in your tank that can be harmful to them. Yep, they're like toddlers. Everything goes in the mouth. So even like with plastic plants, if you're going to use those, you want to make sure that the plastic plants that you use do not have paint on them. Because a lot of people will purchase, their plastic plants from like Michael's or Hobby Lobby. But that's okay if they have wires in them if they're on the inside. Because usually the wires are going to be covered by plastic. Well, to each his own. I don't think any of mine have wires, but I buy reptile plants. I'm kind of more the better safe than sorry. The only thing that I have in my tank that is probably questionable is the metal from the wheels. Yes, Dan's correct. Avoid fake plants with glitter, plastic berries, and other things like that can come off. But the other thing to keep in mind is they have pinchers, so they can pinch anything off. That's why I tried to provide a lot of leaf litter. You just want to keep them busy. Imagine if you're stuck in a room all the time. So that's why I try to, mix up the tanks. Dan has a lot of, enrichment. The cubes that Dan sells, are pretty neat. The mirrors, wheels, all that kind of stuff is just really exciting for them. My crabs are constantly in the front of the mirrors and on the wheels. Yes, mirrors. So last year, I think it was Kelsey's. I might be wrong. Last year in the enrichment session, Kelsey mentioned mirrors for our crabs, and so I think then Dan put mirrors in his store. But yeah, I purchased some mirrors. Oh look, my little E's being active right there on the net. So up there I've got a mirror. I've got mirrors placed all over in my tanks. I purchased mirror sheets is what I did. Yeah, you just place mirrors. I didn't want to have actually like glass mirrors in my tanks. I'm crazy. I just don't like things that can crack and break. But they love the mirrors. My brother is actually in front of the mirror right now. Don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? They love the mirrors. They will sit in front of the mirrors. They love them. That's probably, besides the wheel, one of the most favorite enrichment activities that they love. Was it Carol that started the mirrors? Okay. I don't have anybody trying to fight themselves. Mine just sit there and look at each other, and it's just the cutest things. I just enjoy it so much. I constantly find that in my purple pincher tank, I have to wipe off one of the mirrors because, they lift their, legs to it a lot. But they just love it. They'll just sit there and just stare. And it's just so cute. Mirrors and disco balls. So I used to have, so the disco ball came from Mike and Missy. They had disco balls in their tank. And then I did copy them, and I had disco balls in mine, but mine never paid attention to the disco balls. But yeah, Mike and Missy, their disco balls are so cool. They've had their swing on the disco balls. It's just so cute. I've seen people put little tire swings in their tanks. It's great. Those types of things to get your crabs thinking, that's important. I love seeing people being creative like that. Dan and Samantha have very creative tanks too with their themes. Jean, so if your purple pincher is killing another crab, there's a reason for that. So, shell, do you have enough shells? Are you providing enough protein? Are you providing enough calcium? So, crabs typically are not going to be carnivorous for a reason. There's usually a reason why that would happen. I think that the mirrors are wonderful. They're working for all of my crabs. They love them. And I have a minimum of 2 mirrors in each of my tanks. And also, is your substrate depth deep enough? There's always something. That's cute, Beth. Who is that gorgeous crab there? Oh, it's me. How long have I had my east? So I've been doing crabbing for a little over 10 years in my adult life. That started because my mother got my son into crabs, and then you know how it goes when your kids get pets, they become your responsibility. But I did have crabs as a kid too. Yes, Moa, you totally do have to. Your crabs will love them. I personally, I don't have them anymore because I cut them all up. But I bought these sheets of mirror. So they're not really like mirror, but they are mirror from Amazon. And it was like 4 sheets. And I cut them up, and I put 2 in these tanks and 3 in my purple pincher tank. Wow, that's crazy. I think I was like 12 when I started. I'm 46 now, but yeah. I didn't start off with a wire cage, luckily. I had an aquarium. The pet store that we got them from had theirs in an aquarium, so. Down the shore crabs for me. I'm one of your crab mentors, Dan. That's funny. Dan, I haven't been on the HCA, unfortunately, in a while. Have your straws laid anymore, Zoe? No? Oh, that's a bummer. One of these days, I'm going to build pools like yours. One of these days, when I have time. It'll happen again. Well, that's nice. At least you've had purple pinchers. Beth, it always is. There's only going up from here. It always gets better and better. I love our community. It's amazing. Beth, do you just have purple pinchers? Oh, one each. Oh, okay. That's great. That's awesome. I love the variety that purple pinchers have in their colors and everything. He's eaten, yeah, two very large. Oh, okay, yep. And one crazy E. Okay. Oh, that's cute, Jean, sorry. No, I don't have that. If anything, I'll have like multiple crabs on one wheel, so the wheel just goes, because they're all just trying to go their own way, even though there's 3 wheels in every tank. Just cracks me up. Well, Stevie, just remember, these are not going to change shells unless they want to. It took years for my E's to change shells. And I mean, I have E's that like are hanging out of their shell. That is so cute, Jean. That's adorable. You'll have to video that and share it. That's cute. That's adorable. Oh, yep. Yeah. I get that with my Brevi. My Brevi has large shells to go into, but I don't know. It just really likes its one shell. And sometimes my straws don't always want to change either. Jean, I know you can share on the Hermit Crab Association. I'm not on Facebook, so I'm not sure about that. You could share it with me on the messaging with the Healthy Hermit. I would love to see it. So true, Dan. And unfortunately, the shell market for them is getting crazy too, unfortunately. Mo's got the laughing emoji. That's hilarious. That is so funny. That's funny. I think honestly, like the only reason why some of my E's have moved up is like when they, you know, get eggs. You know, so that they have room for the eggs. That's what probably do. So true. Poop shakes. That's funny. I can't tell you the last time I purchased a crab. Long time ago. Unless if I came across an E, I would. Or a shark. If I came across one of those in a pet store, then I probably would purchase. But other than that, I would not. We don't have a lot of mom and pop pet stores around here, though. My Ruggie's really small, Moa, so maybe that's why, like, my Ruggie will change. But that's interesting to know that they're quite similar to E's. I have seen that they are considered to be very similar to Ruggies, and that they get confused with Ruggies too, especially with their coloring. I'd say that activity-wise, they're very similar. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any other questions. It's been wonderful talking to all of you guys. What salinity of salt water do I recommend for E's? I follow the instructions on the box, but I will tell you that I use Instant Ocean Reef. I don't use regular Instant Ocean. I use the Reef formula. And I can tell you what that is if you hold on one second. I might be able to tell you what that is if it says it on the back. But it's the Reef crystals is what I use. Specific gravity of 1.021. So this is what I use. What's the difference? I believe this has higher in magnesium and calcium. Be right back. Let me put this back. And in case anybody ever wants to know, the secret to keeping your instant ocean granules is by keeping it in a 5-gallon bucket with a lid. So why reef and not regular instant ocean? I have found that that works better for me when raising Zoe. And so it's just easier to have that in all of my pools. And yeah, it has higher magnesium and calcium. Jean is saying she thought that calcium was dangerous to crabs. I've not had that issue. I'm not sure where you heard that. But like in the substrate, the calcium sand. Yes, that is correct. Calcium sand is bad. This is water. This is for your water. So this is what you're talking about, Jean, is completely different. Calcium sand is terrible because what that does is that hardens. This is extra calcium and magnesium in the water. Completely different. And like I mentioned earlier, Ecuadorians love marine saltwater. My crabs are constantly in the marine saltwater. Oh, you're welcome, Jean. Calcium sand, when wet, will harden like concrete. And that's why it's so dangerous to use the calcium sand. And typically for substrate, you're best to use clay sand, or what I like to use is, let's see if I think I have some. I like to use all-purpose sand. It's Quickcrete is what I make it, what I use. And I mix it with the cocoa fiber, Eco Earth, 5-to-1 ratio. And I mix mine with marine salt water because I personally feel like that prohibits mold growth. Some people mix it with fresh water, and of course you need to dechlorinate it first. Does it dissolve fast? I honestly, so I clean my pools once a week. And I feel like, so what I do is I make it by the gallon, and each one of my pools holds almost a gallon. And let's see, I pour it in, shake it up. I would say it dissolves pretty fast because it stays granular because I keep it in a 5-gallon bucket. And I never have any salt left over, any salt water left over. A small amount should not be left on the bottom of the container. If it is left on the bottom of the container, I would say that you're not shaking it up enough. Either that, or maybe you're not filling the container up enough because it's a half a cup of the salt to 1 gallon of water. You shake it 1,000 times, you really do, you count. Perhaps stir it. You know, and what I specifically do is I keep a gallon jug and I just constantly reuse it over and over for that. Ta-da! This is my salt container, hence it's empty. But I fill it with water, put my prime in, put my salt in, give it the good old shake, and I use it. I would not use warm water. That's me, but to each his own. I use cold water. Because who wants to get into a? I mean, they're a crab, and they're already in a warm tank. The ocean's not warm. The ocean's cold. Water's supposed to be refreshing, in my opinion. But to each his own. If that's what works for you, Jean, you do that. Well, I mean, even if you let it cool, still, I'm not sure I would do that. But that's just me. I'm weird. So, prior to the hermit crabs, I've had fish tanks, and I've just never done that. I've never even heard of that. But that's just me. I would just use cold. That's a great idea, Beth. Ask the company. That's an awesome idea. Ask them if it would change like the formulation, or if it would kill any of the essential formulas that they make, or anything like that, minerals or anything like that. But I would use cold until you contact the company. And the crabs do use the fresh water. They just swim in the marine salt water. And by swim, I mean they go in it. If you've never seen a straw go in marine salt water, they are just like the straws going in marine salt water. They will go all the way in. Oh, one of my purple pinchers is over here. It's like, whoa, what's going on here? How deep are my pools? My pools are almost a gallon each, but they're just Rubbermaid containers. I got them at Target like a long time ago, but they're deep enough for them fully to submerge, and then there's probably like this much on top. Sure. Give me a second here. Hopefully you can see them. I can't really tell. Let's see, maybe over here. It's kind of hard to see in there. Are you able to see them? What does this say? Were you able to see them? I couldn't really. Yes. So I have like a craft mesh ladder going in, and then I have like fish tank decorations. And in my saltwater, I have a piece of coral, those types of things. And then, of course, I do the double bowl method, so that if anybody doesn't know the double bowl method, you have two containers that are the same size. One's on the bottom, then you put shells or something inside that, and then you put the same container inside that, so that when you go to change your pool, the one stays there, so you're not disturbing any crabs if they're underneath it. Do you understand? Did I explain it okay? Let's see. So right here is the one pool. It's the one bowl. And in this bowl, there are shells. So I can lift out this bowl and not disturb anything that's underneath this. So if a crab is molting underneath here, which a lot of crabs do like to go molt underneath a pool, I'm not going to disturb it because I'm not removing this bowl. I'm only removing the bowl that's inside of it. And this bowl's not going to lift up because I have shells in this one. So this isn't sitting directly inside of it. There's a little layer in between it, so it's not going to suction. Do you understand that, Jean? Did I explain it okay? Yeah, they typically like to do that because it's nice and moist underneath the water pools. They'll dig and hide anywhere, but it typically does always happen underneath the water pools. That's why I like the Tupperware bowl method. I'd love to do the tank method. Of course, Jean. That's what I'm here for. Everybody in the crabbing community, we all help each other. That's what works for me. I'd love to do the tanks when I get time. I just haven't had time, unfortunately. And then, of course, you know, having the bubblers, the air stones in the tank, in the water helps too. Oh, really, Jean? That's interesting. I probably thought that munchie was glued in the shell. Yes, it is. It's a monarch butterfly. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Oh, I'm so sorry, Jean. I'm glad you're a survivor. And I'm glad you still have Munchie. That makes me happy. Of course, Jean, my pleasure. Does anybody else have any questions? No problem, Jean. There's no rush. I'm here to help. My pleasure. Okay, everybody. Well, I hope you guys all have a wonderful rest of the day and enjoy the rest of CrabCon. And like I said, if you ever have any questions about your ease, I'm here to help you. You can contact me via the healthyhermit.com, which is the Etsy shop. That is not in business right now, but you can still message me and I'll message you back. Have a beautiful day. Bye.